And what's up, everyone? Man, it's pretty quiet, but welcome to the For the Boys podcast. Sorry for the late running of the show. It was due to my bloody mic playing up. So we're 3 seasons deep and still going, still shit. But welcome to this podcast where we talk about mental health, anything to do with mental health, and how to fix not only us as men, but everyone out there. I'm Teza, by the way.
Mafioso. We're just going to check out a quick disclaimer that none of us are professionals. Not me, Swanky, not even Terry are professionals. But we just basically run all our thoughts and share stories and experiences in the hopes that it touches somebody out there, somebody can relate, and somebody can, just help you get out of whatever rut you're in. Stick around, and we've got a massive show tonight. Jerry.
100%. Yeah, and if you're tuning in the chat, please, if you want to shout out, jump on, send us a message, or if you have a question for our guest tonight. And speaking of guests, we have an amazing gentleman who's, I guess, some of the topics that we're going to speak about tonight. It'll be a learning for us, and also educating myself and Muffy, and later on in the show, Swanky and Wills. So it was a tough one to kind of talk about because, as I said, sensitive. It's not spoken about in the community, but if we as Polynesian and in the community try and get to know, or just try and have ears open and understand the people in the LGBTQIA. I hope I didn't miss anything out. Just understand and educate ourselves in that regard. So, without further ado, I'd like to bring on Iatua Felagai Taito. And bear with me because he's our producer's gone missing. He'll be on later on, but I'll bring on the brother.
Hey.
Thank you so much. Thank you first and foremost for allowing me to be in this space, I guess, and just be present and just have like a really hearty Talanoa. Thank you so much, Teza and Muffy and the others that will join in. But thank you so much for allowing me to be in the space.
Sure. Sorry, I don't know if that's proper to use in this in this live, but I think
keep using it.
Okay, where we'll start is at the beginning and how it all started for you and where you grew up, bro. Take the show and just for those at home, we're gonna remove ourselves from it and Tua's gonna take over the show. It's gonna be all him.
Okay. First and foremost, my name is Iatua Felagai Taito, or like Tua Taito for those that know me. Born and bred in West Auckland, Henderson. I think I am the youngest out of 9 siblings. I got majority brothers, and I think I'm the queer one in the family. But also, I think just talking about these things, I think talking about Pacifica Rainbow and I guess how that came a self-identification for myself. I think ever since I was little, and I also want to, disclaim and put out there as well that I don't want to Pacifica Rainbow Voices, they're not a monolith. So it's not like a one size fits all for everyone, because everyone has different experiences and their identity journeys are definitely either similar to mine or completely different. And so it's coming from a subjective Pacifica Rainbow voice from myself. I come from a devoutly Christian family, Samoan family as well, and really raised up within like a Samoa environment, as well as church being, a constant force in my Ainga's life, and it underpins who we are. And I think for me, I my mum, I think she knew, and I think people saw signs of who I was authentically. And I think ever since I was little, um, I knew I was just, I guess, like flamboyant or just feminine in general. Like it was innate. And I know this might come across, problematic, but I can speak on my truth is that I knew I was just born the way that I was just born. Like I came and I was just who I am. There was no behavior, there was no situations that happened to myself that allowed me to be the specific way. It was just, I was just this person. And so I think I was little, and apparently, apparently, like back then, I think I used to have like any ones that identifies as being rainbow, and I think as innate with them, like they start to experiment, but innocently. It wasn't like, oh, I watched the show and that show influenced me to do this. It's just this connection that people just need to understand. Like I feel like people don't understand that, and I totally understand. And so for me, I just knew that I was, ever since I was little, that I started to have these feelings that um I don't know, that wasn't right. Like I at first I thought it was just all good. And then I think once I saw how society is and how the environment of, you know, Christianity is and what they do and what they deem to specific people, that's when I knew like, oh, okay, so that's not right. Okay, I understand. And that's when I guess, social conditioning happens, and then code switching happening, you know what I mean? Like in regards to people's comfort spaces or comfort var, or like that relationality between, me as a cisgender male coming into spaces. You don't want to make anyone else feel awkward if you are, I guess, a little bit more flamboyant or a little bit feminine. And so I think, yeah, I knew ever since I was little. And I think it was hard because when I saw people that were Pacifica and Rainbow, for instance, um, it was either they were known as being Fafafinge, or I guess all the other equivalences in the Pacific culture, like mahu, whakasalewa, whakaleiti, etc. Um, or like Western version LGBT, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, etc. And so for myself, I was like, okay, so my intersectionality, like, how do I don't see myself there. Like I'm a Christian, and during my deepest hurt, and I guess when I was in a frazzled state, believe it or not, like what helped me was God, and I could speak on that truthfully, wholeheartedly, and boldly. And so I was like, okay, so if that is happening to me, and when I hit my version of rock bottom in certain ways, my faith kept me going. And so me being, I guess, queer, Christian, and Samoan, I never saw a representative of those three identities at the forefront. It was more so someone that's Pacifica and Rainbow and they hate the church. I can understand why, because of certain things, but that was one view, and that's their view. And then there's like another person, like this, but I never saw myself. And so I was like, what the heck? Like, how is, does a person like that exist navigating those identities, like navigating being authentically who you are, like, and you don't have to choose, you know what I mean? Like you don't have to choose to be, if you're Christian, that means you can't be this, or if you're Samoan, you can't be this. Like I'm like, why do we choose? You can be all those identities, you have to find a way. And for myself, I would, yeah, I think that was it. Like, I think it was just that constant mental health aspect of me feeling not seen or acknowledged. And so you can only imagine, like, pretending to be someone that you're not. You know what I mean? Like, so people think, or like, for example, if your family's outlook on you and who you should be, and you do not, you know, you do not make that marking of who they want you to be.
The expectation, eh?
Yeah, that expectation. Obviously that hurts, and I think for myself, I feel like genuinely maybe my amazing parents, like my dad's a lay preacher, my mom, super close with my mom as well, my dad. My mom passed away when I was 11, and I think she knew deeply who I was when I was trying to change for certain people or certain organizations or certain
Yep.
types of people, just so then I put them first, like I
Mm.
literally put myself last in so many things just to make people feel comfortable. But I'm like, why can't I feel comfortable? Like, is that like there has to be some reciprocal give and take respect there. Like, I'm not trying to do anything. And there's heaps of narratives, like these narratives of like, you think about in high school, right? Like, let's say, like, you see someone and they're like, what, lesbian or gay, so to speak. And I've seen so many stories with people in the community that I know that are my friends that you can tell maybe they want to be just friends, just nothing else, just genuine friendship. But because of the environment and I guess the toxic maybe masculinity around certain groups, they think like, oh no, yeah, I think you're, oh no, I think, do you like that person? Do you like that? And Otsulo mind me, like, do you like that tranny? Do you like, you know what I mean? All those notions. And because of that, they don't want to engage in that friendship. And let's say it's nothing else, just friendship. Like maybe they just genuinely click, but because of the environment, they're like, he just pretends to not acknowledge certain people. And then in discretion, like social media, and you're back at home, then that person has the audacity to start messaging this person. And you're like, no, you didn't acknowledge that person as a human being. Like, why didn't you want to be friends with certain people in the community? Like, it doesn't have to be like oh no, yeah, I think that person is.
Yes, I could just. It's like in front of people. Like, could you be friends with that person in front of your boys, or do you have to like hide your friendship with that person so that
right,
the boys they call you out on it? But it should be an open thing. It's just a friendship. It's just. I mean, I get what you're saying because I do have a lot of gay friends, and like I said, like I've given you names before. I even have gay cousins. And I have no problem with the community. Like I know so many gay people. It's just normal to me. It's we grew up knowing what a fafa finger was.
Yeah.
We grew up knowing how they are in the family as well as at church. You've seen them when you go out in the community. You've seen how they act. You've seen how they are, and they're fun. And how could you hate that? But yeah, like what you said, it's not fair that you befriend these people behind closed doors and be all good with them, but then you kind of like diss them in front of people where it should remain the same, mate. It should be friends with them, back where no one can see you. You should be friends with them out in the open and out in the public. It shouldn't change. Don't be that guy.
I've had that same experience. Forgive me about my mic. It's probably playing up, but there was a time, in my younger days, and I just met my my wife. She had quite a few friends that are a part of the rainbow community or the LGBTQ. And when she said, "Oh, I'm going to so and so's house," she just explained that it's some of her gay mates, and I was a bit hesitant because I was never involved or been a part of it. I've seen it around, but I never kind of acknowledged it. So anyway, I was like, nah, you go by yourself, because I don't know how, that's me. I don't know how to act around these. No, I was calling them these sort of people. But my wife just said, hey, don't say that. That's kind of disrespectful. But at the same time, this is probably the best time to go and, see, meet them. Long story short, we went over. It was a leaving party, and there was probably about 20 of her friends. They were all part of the community, and I was shocked because I didn't know where to start. I probably was nervous, scared. I don't know. That's how I felt when I walked into the party, and I just sat by myself. And yeah, like probably 5 minutes later, they approached and I didn't think they were a normal person. And sorry, and forgive me for how this is coming up, but this is true experience for myself. And yeah, they ended up being really good friends, and up until this day, my kids call them auntie and uncle. We go out to family dinners and we catch up, and it's normal now. But back then, just I could have said something wrong, and I didn't want to say something wrong. So, but it was such a good time, and I think that first meeting was, I guess, a blessing for me, because I now appreciate having them around, because they are family to my kids, to myself and my wife. So, sorry, I know I went on. It's not about me, but I'm going to go back to you, Tua, and just as a kid, you said you kind of knew, or you knew that you felt a different way, or should I say different? No, you felt this sort of way. During that time, was there any pressure to kind of hide it, or pressure to bring it out, or was there just around different people, it just changed? And I think you kind of mentioned it throughout what you were saying before.
Yeah, no, there was this immense pressure because I come from a very strong Christian family, and so I think like there's obviously certain things that you need to do or to fit a certain mold, unfortunately. And so for me, I wouldn't say I fully changed myself, but I would be mindful. But you can imagine how exhausting that would be when you have to be like, you don't want to make anyone feel uncomfortable, but at the same time, it's like, why do I always have to have to hold myself like accountable every single time? Like, why do I always have to be like, okay, maybe just do less? And I used to always tell myself that, like, just do less, and I'm like, and then I remember I thought there was something wrong with me. Like, I got to the point where I would see my amazing family, my brothers. So much love for my brothers, like they're amazing, my nephews, and for me, it was just kind of like, okay, why can't I be like that? Like, why can't I fit? Like, why can't I do that? Like, and I tried, and it got to the point where, and here's a personal story as well. Like, it got to the point where at the age of 11, like I would, when no one's around, I would go into my mum and dad's boku, like my parents' room, and then I would, with no one there, in discretion, and then I would go on bended knee, and then I would like to God and be like, okay, you've answered, so many of my prayers, like you've helped me in so many ways, like God, like I'm coming wholeheartedly, like me being very, very like sincere, like can I just be like my brother? Can I be just like them? Like, can I not? Because I used to think like, damn, am I like the person that's leading my family down sometimes? Like, you think that you're just like, oh, why can't I just fit a certain mold? Like, why can't I, like my brother, like, why can't I be like them? Like, healthy and masculine in a way, those two aspects, like, and it was just very nice, just that. And then I would pray to God, and I would do this devoutly every single day without no one knowing. I used to do this every single day when there was like everyone's sleeping, no one's around. I would go in my dad's room, go pray, and I'll cry my eyes out and just be like, even thinking about it gets me like a little bit like, because it was so real. Like, I thought, I genuinely thought there was something wrong with me. I was like, oh damn, like, there's no one like myself. Like, is there something wrong? And I would pray, and then I would get annoyed at God. Those natural things, like, God, why? Like, nothing. You'd help me in so many different ways. Why am I still the same way? Like, I'm trying my best, trying to be on my best behavior, trying to do my aspects at church, trying to, be a good brother, be a good son, be a good friend. You know what I mean? Like, be a good student at school. And then I'm just like, frick, why isn't this helping? And then one day when I was 13, like year 9, I had like an epiphany, I guess a spiritual conviction, so to speak. Like one day, because I would always pray like every single day, like I would be devout, I would try my best and not tell anyone. The only time I told people this story was when Stuff New Zealand media, they like reached out to me, and then I thought it was my time to tell my truth. And I think at 13 years of age, like I woke up one day and I genuinely thought like, wait, you know, God has answered my prayer. And I've been praying. I've never prayed about something so much. Like legit, this was the one prayer I would pray to God consistently to try and change me to be like this person or to be like a normal person. And then one day I felt like God was just saying like, no, I didn't answer your prayer. You were supposed to be authentically who you are, just the way you are. And keep in mind, I've been manifesting and praying devoutly for so many years, right? And I was like, wait, this was it. I'm supposed to be who I am. Okay, so what's my purpose then? And then I felt like, okay, my purpose is to help people that are not seen. And I literally was like, okay, cool. And I ran with that. And I think my faith kept me going from that age onwards, even till now. Like that's a really, really true conviction that's like cemented on my heart, because that at that moment, that's when I was like, oh yeah, no one can say anything. Like at the end of the day, if you're God, then cool. But because you're not God, you cannot tell me that I'm not a Christian. You cannot tell me I'm this and this and this, because at the end of the day, we're all built in the image of God. We're all built exactly who we are. Everyone, like, there's no one person that's exactly the same as everyone else. You know what I mean? Like, everyone has a blessing. Everyone has an anointment to them that's so natural to them. And for me, I was like so lucky that my family, like, I didn't go through any like heavy like beating. Like, you hear lots of Pacifica Rainbow community people, and they get the meanest hiding for being who they are. I don't, from what I can recall, like I didn't get any of that, but it was more so me putting upon myself like that people are saying certain stuff about this about me, I feel like, and I would always overthink in that way. And yeah, so I definitely had that pressure. Like I had that pressure, and then now it got to the point where I'm like, no, you have to speak your truth, regardless of what the repercussions are. If you know that you can go sleep at night speaking your honest to the Lord truth of knowing who you are, then you're fine. You're fine.
Just going back to how you said some Pacifica families they try and beat that out of their kids, or it's quite normal for that in the family, for them to like kind of disown you or try and push it away because they think and I know for a fact because I have a friend or family, don't want to say names, as a kid, a friend of mine was going through that at maybe I think 11 years old, and he was going through that transition of, as you said, who am I? I'm young. How do I know? So at that age, we saw changes happening within the family, and at one point I was over the house, and the father had told him, if you don't change the way or don't act properly, I'm going to beat it out of you. So I've experienced that firsthand in some of these families. So just seeing that, and I was a bit younger and not understanding that sort of stuff. So I think with you coming on and explaining and trying to, we're all getting educated around this. I just want to touch on how, for yourself, and you said that you didn't experienced any of that abuse or physical abuse. At what age did you say that you're going to be who you are, or how did that come out within your family, and how did they accept it, or how did everyone's reaction? Yeah.
That's very a good question as well, and I think on a
We're
subjective note,
just gonna bring on Swanky. He's just in the
me.
background.
Cool. Cool, sweet. I think how I genuinely just feel like my family already knew. You know what I mean? Like they already know, and I think it was more so for that individual, i.e., myself, to I guess, maybe there was some, mystery of like, okay, is this person what, like, you know what I mean? And I think once at this age, being 23, I just knew I was like, oh no, it's time. I think it's time for me to open up because a lot of my research, I'm doing my master's at the University of Auckland, and a lot of my research is about, Pacifica rainbow experiences, or especially with faith and using dance as a way to reclaim certain things. And I think for me, performing arts was the way that I think was such a safe way, and I felt like my family already knew. Um, and it just sucks because I know some people don't have that grace. And I'm not going to say it's all, peaches and cream and it's all nice and everything is fine for me. I still go through some obstacles in different levels, in different workplaces, or in different spaces in general, because not everyone is as open as you guys. You know what I mean? Like, genuinely, people don't want to talk about this because they don't think it's important. There's people that just think it's like, oh no, we don't need to hear that voice. Like, we don't need. So, yeah, I think everyone already had an inkling, and I think it was more so not even about that. Like, and I, this is so crack up just thinking about it. Like my siblings, like they mean as love them to bits, and I think, and I've had some conversations, with my siblings, and I think the thing was they gave the notion and the idea of like, oh no, you're fine. It's just, if you're a good person, you know what I mean? If you're providing for the family, you're doing your bit as a younger brother. If you're, you know, being of tautua, being of service to your loved ones, if you're, doing your due diligence around the house, like simple things like that. And here's me thinking like, damn, I was thinking in a very like expansive way, like, and it sucks because it comes a lot from like Western media where you see lots of coming out stories, and it's very like glamorized or really, really blowed up.
Yeah.
And some are true. I'm not going to say they're not true, but some are true. But some are like it scares people to want to come out because of that.
Yeah,
And
I
then you
know.
saw Pacifica people coming out, right? And then they're actually more accepting. It was just more so like, how are you? Like it's more so they're worried about you. And I think that was the case. I think for my mom, I think was that I think she was worried about what was going to happen for someone like myself. Because when you think about it, right? Like when you think about someone that is rainbow or Pacifica and rainbow, and you think about like, let's say, heteronormative counterparts, who do you think is going to go through just a little bit more shit? You know what I mean? It's going to be them. They're going to be going through a little bit more like stuff happening to them a little bit more. And so I think as a parent, and I think, forgive me if I'm wrong, if you guys are like parents, like if you have a child that is, I guess, discovering themselves or rainbow, you'd immediately would want to change them, not because of society, not only because of that or biblical reasons, but also safety reasons, because at the end of the day, they're still your child and you love them. And a lot of, I feel like our Pacifica people, the way that we show love is with our physical hand in your face, just so you know that you're being like what you're doing is wrong. But it's coming from a genuine place most of the time. Some people it comes from hate in our Pacifica communities, but some people it comes from lack of awareness, lack of knowing, and it's because they don't know how to perpetuate their love because it's that generational intergenerational way of disciplining your child. But yeah.
Can I ask a quick question? Just based on the whole acceptance thing. So I could imagine um you going through the notions that whatever there's certain ages, and then was it your family, like your dad and your siblings, all accepting you to be who you wanted to be, that gave you the confidence to be you at 100? Because you said you were kind of being held back because you didn't want to be that guy who was different to your brothers. Um, you weren't pushing your full potential because you just felt like something wasn't right. You knew you could go there, but it just wasn't the same way your brothers would go about doing things. How much of being accepted by your own family did that allow you to be like to not even care about what anybody else thought and just to be you? And what age was that around about? Because like you said, like being a parent, we could have those kids, but when do we accept that? When do we say, oh, okay, we got to embrace exactly where he is at this age?
Mm,
Does he just snap out of it later on? Who knows? But
yeah.
I mean, Terry mentioned 11 years old. You've mentioned 11 years old. So is it kind of that age group? Is it like do they confirm within themselves that at that age that if mom and dad's are all good with it, then I'm all good with it. My siblings are all good with it. That's it. I'm coming out. Like, is it that kind of thing? What was
Mm,
it for you?
yeah, I think for myself it was more so yeah, I think it was more so like you had to do it for yourself, if that makes sense. Like family, either or they have to just accept, you know, them as they are, whether they like it or don't like it. And at the end of the day, it's still, family is family, you're gonna always be with them and love is always gonna be there. But I think for me, I wasn't influenced by um I guess like my family. I wasn't influenced by them like hugely. Like I already knew there was gonna come a time inevitably that I was gonna was going to like have the courage to stand in who I am. Um, but it was literally, I guess it was just literally like for me personally, as a Christian and as a queer Christian, it was my faith that got me through. And so I was like, okay, so you know, faith, hope, and love, Christian themes, Samoan Christian themes is what underpins my ainga. So if that underpins who I am, and I'm still, being a good human being, a good brother, a good, providing for the family, everything like that.
Doing your part? Yep.
They wouldn't, they like if they, yeah, it was all good after that. Like I think that
Mm.
was it. It was like I did it because of myself. Like I was strong and ready to do that. And I think when I started to
Okay.
learn more about the community, or more, and like, and that's why there's like two differences that I want to make as well. Like there's Western rainbow terms, LGBT, and all that kind of stuff. But then when you think of like Maori or Pacifica rainbow people, right? And I don't know if you guys know, maybe you do, but there's this idea that happens that, everyone goes through the same struggles, but it's like they have more privilege than us sometimes because they're, of Caucasian, European descent. And for us, it's like, well, kind of like a triple minority trying to figure it out. Yet there's even some contention, a lot of debates around those that are LGBT in our own communities in regards to who needs, and there's just heaps of subtensions that a lot of people don't know. Um, and so I think, and so yeah, it's more so like it's that individual, like it's up to them to make that choice. Because I've heard heaps of stories and read heaps of stories on people um that, and I'm sure you guys know some people as well, like people that have you know been this way or realized that they were this way, or they knew from the get-go, or and for me, I knew from the get-go, but it was more so once I hit 11, that's when I started to know that, oh, I think it's wrong. And then that's when I was like, okay, damn, okay, I think I might need to do something about it. And then age of 13, I just had that epiphany after many prayers. I was like, oh nah, okay. I already know there's gonna come a time. I already know who I am. Just for the sake of my, friends and everything like that, I'm just gonna. And a lot of people lie. People will be like, oh yeah, no, I'm not that. I'm not that. I'm not that. But deep down you are. And it's like it gets to that. It's up to that person. Like it's up to them to have the courage to be like, oh no, I'm actually this. So then you can live truthfully. You know what I mean? And who you are. I think that's the thing that people need to understand. Like I think is yeah, to be truthful. And I think for me, I had to be truthful. Like I was like, oh, I can't pretend anymore. Like I have to just be who I am. Like just be simply who I am and accept it. Because if God's not going to change it, and I can't change it, or you can only change it for so long, then it's like you're going through that mental trauma on yourself. Like you're putting it upon yourself. So it's like like it's time to just be
Yeah.
unapologetic in your views.
It's like unnecessary stress, say, like, you're putting yourself under all the stress when you could just put it aside, be yourself, be happy, and whatever
Yeah.
anybody thinks, that's their problem, but it's, yeah, you live your life, yeah. It sounds very easy when we speak about it like this, but it's, some people do cope very bad, like they can't get through, mentally can't get through that blockage, and it's,
Yeah.
and
And
it is sad, and it makes things hard as well. People. I think what you said, like, it's really hard because, like I said before, I've got a lot of gay friends, and family, and I've seen them. Like my little cousins have grown up, and I've seen them change so much, like to the ultimate change. Oh shit, But it's, if you really look and speak to them, they're still when I talk to my little cousins, they're still my little cousins. They still act the same. They still respect me the same. We still share the same respect. There's nothing changed between us, but his appearance. And he's just more fierce now, Like, but he's happy. I'm happy. He can be a she can be a he. That's your thing. That's your thing. Like, it's just really sad that not everybody can sit there like what I'm saying right now and let people be who they want to be. Like, some people have a problem with that, and that's, I'd say that's like a lack of this thing here. Like they didn't educated themselves enough to understand that not everybody is the same. That everybody can be who they want to be at the end of the day. So
off the back of that, Musa, and there's how you say there's a lot of people going through, and I think for you, Tua, and you've the way your family is coped with how you're coping with it and how it's come out. I guess for as you mentioned, Buffy, there's a lot of people out there that don't want to be true to themselves, as you say, and when they using your head, I think it's more of some people put their family before everything else, and the shame they don't want to bring on their family, and they hold it in, and sometimes that leads to suicide. A lot of young Polynesian that are of the community take their lives because of it, and it's sad. But I guess this is why we have these this platform, and to try and break that sort of barrier between there are people out there, and there are like yourself, Tor, you're helping not only us, you're helping a lot of people out there that are going through the struggle, and for you it might not be a struggle, but to many out there, and you probably know quite a few that are still trying to find themselves. We've got a question in the chat. Let's quickly.
Just on top of that, Terry, I'd like to like state a difference that I've actually seen lately, and it's, back in the days, the Palangis have always been the more accepting and understanding parents for their young who are of the community, and it's really good to see like the Islanders start to turn that way about their own kids and like accept and like embrace their kids being, whoever they want to be. And that's a big thing to see, like, to see happen, and it's a big thing probably for the community, it makes it easier to come out and to be, look, mom, dad, this is me, this is my friend, we've been together for, it's just, and the parents like back then would have been straight away, like, nah. But nowadays it's kind of like, I'm not gonna say it's normal because some parents are real fast more and they just won't accept it. But I will say that I bet you they're like a little bit more like, oh, you know, oh, okay, like it's swallow it. That's how it's gonna be, and it's fucking good to see that. I mean, I'm on your team. Like, let's push that out more. Let's make it more aware that this is more acceptable. And I mean, that it's still your children. Like, you can't design your children, just because of it. So yeah, it's good to see.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
Do you reckon the change is coming, but back when we were growing up, it was such a big shame on the family. Has that changed? Has it changed? And for yourself, Tua, do you see the change too, or do you still see that the other side of things within like friends and family?
I think there's a massive change, but I still think there still needs to be more. Like, there's heaps more to be done. But I do see the change. Like, I do see and I see lots of people. I don't want to name drop anyone, but like people that are like established and they're doing so much for the Pacifica Rainbow community. And from stories that I've heard, right, like those lived stories, they've been through heaps, and then it comes across like, damn, like that's how you can't put everyone all in one box because everyone's experiences are so different. Like, it's so nuanced. Like, you cannot just be like, oh, it's a monolith. Anyone that's LGBT, everyone must go through this. But some people don't go through some of the stuff like that, or only go through it just in a minuscule way, but not like in a massive way. And so I do think there is a huge difference, because I feel like nowadays, I don't know. I feel like it is being more accepted, because think about the law, right? You think about, same-sex marriages that is there, and I still remember there was a lot of contention, a lot of, heaps of, tension, and I can understand why. And then now, what's the other one that just got? There was another law that happened, and for example, our Pitso Williams Seal, like our Pacific MP, he changed his mind, and he's from my dad's age bracket. So he there is times are changing. He voted against same sex, and then now he oh shit, what's that thing? There's this law that was, what was it? Conversion therapy. That's what it was. Conversion therapy. He was he gunned for it to not happen anymore. And then you see he comes from a strong conservative Christian background. And Efeso Collins, he was on your guys' show, amazing dude. He was against same-sex marriage openly, and then now he's supporting this project called Manalangi Project, which supports Pacifica Rainbow people in statistics and them being included in New Zealand reports. And it's I feel like I don't know how it's changing. I don't know what made it change, but I can see it in my perspective.
Yeah.
But what about you? What do you think?
I mean, I like we spoke before the show started. Me and Swanky have spoken to Charles from work. Swanky, remember? I sat down with Charles during a lunch break one time, and
older generation.
He's like old school as. He's with his, he's literally married to his boyfriend, and they live together. But I spoke to him about the show, and then I brought up the fact that we didn't want to offend people and say the wrong thing without even knowing. And then I said to him, I did bring that question up to him. I says, do you think it's easier now to be gay than it was back in your days? And he's like, way easier now. I'm not saying that the struggles are not there nowadays, but it is so much more easier. There's a lot more awareness out there. There's people are more accepting of the community, and it's just And I was hoping that he'd agree to jump on the show, because he has so much knowledge of somebody. I call those guys the pioneers who have fought for what you guys would easily have now or still fighting for these days.
Basically, they were
and the
physically fighting people off, you know,
Well,
like it
like
was, yeah,
and back then, like you could imagine like a gay dude walks into a bar, or people will beat him up, and then the cops won't do anything. Hey, the cops will be like, good job, those sort of times as well. Those will be hard times as well. Just to be, and you're just being yourself. So, like I said, it would have been good to have in mind because you would have had a ton of stories for us to, change your mind if you're listening and you're still hard up about this subject. But yeah, no, like, yeah, it's he confirmed it for me that these days are like a lot easier and a lot more accepting of their community. So it's definitely a thumbs up that it's the community is rolling in the right direction, that everybody's accepting more of it. And mate, I'll tell you what, like I've got gay friends who, like you said, are like top tier dudes, and then just normal, but they're cool ass friends. Like what Terry said, like you didn't know until you actually meet these dudes, and they're so
Yeah.
normal, they're so laid back there. Some of them are like fierce and like extra, but that's just them being them,
Right.
and they're just like it's all good. It's all good.
No, that's so true. That's so true. And I think why, like, there's so much progress that gets happening now. And I think the only thing that I want to happen now, to be honest, is I think healthy discussions about including people who are rainbow to be within certain traditional churches, for example. You know what I mean? Like, and there's like these terms, in the Al Pacifica, like there's a person, she's amazing. She's a transgender woman. Her name's Felicia Acton Brown. She's done so much work in the community. And she termed a thing called MVP Feth. And I don't know if you've heard of that, but MVP Feth is like, so you know how these LGBT, that's the term, like that's the acronym. For the Pacific, we have our own acronym. And so that would be like, if you're Mahu, that's M, like Whakasalewa, Palopa, Whawhawhine, Akawa'ine, Whakawhiwhine, Whakaleiti, and plus for those that, like, because there's a lot of things that we don't know. And I feel like our Pacific people, like I
Yeah.
can only speak on Samoa specifically because like when I do my research in my master's, like, Whawhawhine, it's classified as a third gender. And a lot of Pacific Islands, they don't have, a formal classification that says that they're recognized as a third gender. And so with Samoa, it's like, okay, so Whawhawhinis, they can do this, cool. And then in sometimes church, they're accepted for the things that they do, but are they accepted, morally as a human being? Are they accepted to have partners?
That's
to have,
a good thing.
you know what
That's
I
a
mean?
good point, eh?
And that's when you're like, okay, there's a gap there. There's a gap there. Like you're only accepting them to like a certain extent, but you're
Are
not
they only good because they're doing the fit hours and they're like washing, doing everything, and then just because they're whole thing, you're gonna like exclude them again, eh? Because you're not
right.
they're not used to you at that time. Yeah, I get exactly what you're asking, yeah. It's crazy, yeah, and it's no, that's a good topic to like. It's a good thing to like to get a tick on, because that's what it is. Like you tick it to make it legit, and then you can't like treat that person willy-nilly whenever you want. Like that's really good. I never thought of that, and it's actually a good point.
Yeah. Sorry. Just quickly, we'd like to thank our sponsor before we move on with the rest of the show. The Mace Familiar. Thank you to the team for always supporting us through our podcast and always, just having our back. He's on a break at the moment. He'll be back at a later stage. So we thank the Mace Familiar. Thank you also, and thank you to the family. Hope baby's going well. Just touch on that question I was meant to bring up earlier, please.
To buy wills?
Yep.
What are some coping strategies for young people out there? Something they can use. What is it?
What is the coping strategies? I think in regards to what are some coping strategies for young people out there? Something they can use. I'll talk it from like coping strategies for those that are Pacifica Rainbow. I'll go from that lens. For those that like tend to doubt themselves, I guess, they should know their history. And what I mean by that is that I didn't know until I reached until I went to the university that queerness is indigenous. Like we had them before colonization and Christianity came abroad. They were celebrated. They were known as healers. They were just normal, just like everyone else. And so obviously when certain things and certain influences started to change certain ideas, and then that's why there's so much problems now. And it's like, no, remember who you are, like remember your history. Like we were a part of these, things before, post-colonization starts to, amplify and come through. Like I think for me, that's what I keep humbling myself, is that my coping strategy would be like, okay, no, I know my history. I know that, you know, there were reports, like if you read through like literature, and what sucks about university is that some of it's not accessible to the community, like as in like anyone else outside of the uni. And so there's some archives or some information that stays there, but it's not accessible to like any other entity outside of the university for some information. And so there's one information that I saw where it was like saying, like, before missionaries came abroad, the way that we used to communicate was through oratory. You know what I mean? Like oral culture. Like we didn't write, we memorized and we orated, our stories and our ngafa, our genealogy. And so, and Fafafine, they were there. They were a part of that community. They were a part of it. But when people came abroad, Westerners came abroad, they were the ones that taught us how to write, all that kind of stuff. And so because they brought the pen and the paper, they had the opportunity to write things in our history books, which can say, oh yeah, this is what they did, this is what they did. And they could have excluded certain things, and they excluded a lot of our queer Pacific identities. And so that's why it's like a lot of people are so confused, like, oh wait, I can't see myself. And I'm like, no, literally in our history, we were there, we were present. It was just normal. There was
That's
no
the education, eh? That's the
Yeah.
education that everybody's lacking, eh? Because like what you're basically saying is, no, you come from a line of like kings and queens, like top notch people, but they just excluded us from, So yeah, like you said, it's all history, it's all unknown knowledge, and it's knowledge that's not available to the public, type of thing. So yeah, that's kind of one way of making it hard for people to really accept certain people, hey, and it's kind of not fair. But that's what these platforms are for. This is what Talanoing of everybody is all about. It's about educating us three. It's about educating however many viewers are on and watching. So now this is what it's all about. It's massive.
How is your walk now with now that you've openly shared? How is your walk with with being a Christian in that? Has anyone looked at you a certain way after you sort of spoke on your truth, or
I feel like there's a lot of people, and I have some friends like this as well, or as in friends, like I don't keep in contact, but I know what their views are on certain things. I feel like people, they might have ideas that they think that what I'm thinking in the way that I take Christianity on, is incorrect. And that's their point of view. And so I have like a gut feeling that I know there are some Christians that think, no, this is incorrect. And I understand that, but that's their point of view. Like I have to look at like a Christological sense where it's like, okay, let's talk about God, right? And you know how God is transformational, right? You know how God, like, there's this beautiful Bible verse where it says like, to trust God and not to lean on your own understanding. And what I say and what I take from that is that, God is so powerful, God is so strong that we can't comprehend what he can do. So, and it says not to judge people as well in the Bible.
That's
And you have to remember, like, you can't pick and choose what Bible scriptures you want to use. You have to take everything in its entirety. And so a lot of people like look at the Bible and then they look at one scripture, right?
one.
And
Yeah.
they like blow it up and then start cussing you out. And then you're like, wait, but are you talking about A, B, C, D, E, F, G, like down here? Like, no, you're not. So you can't act like you're more superior. And I feel like there's some people that probably don't agree with me, and I totally understand, but I know, like, I feel like it came from a very evidence-proven, respectful way to, speak this truth, because I wish I saw people when I was growing up that were queer and Christian and Samoan or Pacific and had those three identities, and they were visible to me in mainstream. But I didn't have that. And so I had to go navigate by myself. And there has been some incredible people that have been doing lots of work. But it sucks because it's that education barrier, because if I didn't enter, I guess, tertiary study, I would not have had the confidence to be like, oh shit, like you start to realize how unfair certain things are. You're like, wait, why is this here? Like that should be accessible to everyone. That could have been helping other people bridge the gap, because they really think that, if you're this way, then you can't be that. You can't be this way. And I'm like, no. Who said that? Who said you can't, be who you are, but be a Christian? Like, no human being on this earth can be like, no, you can't do this because of da da da. And I'm like, no. Everyone's walk of faith is different. And so when people try and say and homogenize it and be like, no, everyone's walk of faith should be like this, and I'm like, oh, then that's how you know how small your brain is, because it's like, no, everyone's walk of faith is hard. Like even for me as a Christian, like I do my own Bible study. I go venture out, and just recently, like I was doing Bible studies with people that are not like myself. Like I'm queer and Christian. They're just, they're like straight Christians. Yeah. I'm like, cool. There's a respect there. Like, not all Christians agree on certain things. Like you can't say, like I've heard heaps of people say that, like, oh yeah, you're not a Christian because of this. And I'm like, nah, but Christians, disagree all the time. Like you think about congregations, there's a lot of opinions on how they see the Bible. And I just love it. Like, it's just that healthy debate, but it's when they start getting personal and vicious, you're just like, oh, no, I can't have you around my orbit, can't have you around my area. Like, you need healing. Like, we all need some form of healing. But I've had some people question my walk of faith, but it's never deterred me.
Nice, and I feel like what you said, like with having people is a representation within the rainbow community of being Pacifica, like you said with Felicia and many others in that space, like like I think the change is from that, like how we're trying to think like, well, where's the change coming from? I think with the older generation, 24/7 on Facebook, like seeing how things are changing, like how accepting other families are. Like I think it like the changes from that. Like just see the older generation seeing their peers or seeing other families, how they're accepting or they're still their child. Like so like you guys said, there's heaps done, but there's heaps more to be done, and
not there yet, eh?
Yeah, it's I love this Talanoa night, and yeah, much props for you for accepting the invite, coming on and sharing the space with us, because I feel for the youth, man. Like you said, you couldn't find anyone to look up to, and I just want the youth that are coming up and they struggling to find anyone or come across this and like say, oh, I can message Tua and get some advice. You know, just we need more for this, like especially for Pacifica, because I'm sick or tired of hearing those sad like stories. They're just
Yeah.
like not finding anyone to lean on to, and then they just take that leap of like suicide. And I'm just sick and tired of that, man.
Yeah, no, that's so true. And I think at the end of the day, like whether you're like Pacifica or Pacifica Rainbow, like at the end of the day, we're all a part of that same Pacific community, you know what I mean? And it's like I I think that's the thing that always gets me, because I'm just like, not everyone has your guys' views, you know, very open and very, actually very, you know, very intelligent. You guys are intelligent dudes who, I've met some people that probably have the worst views, that like have the complete 360, and it sucks because they're like, you know, of of a certain stature and of a certain age, and they don't have, you know, what you guys have, and it's such a it's such an honor to be here. You know what I mean? Like, and for you, like Swanky or Patrick, for coming through and like messaging me and letting me know about like the story and everything like that. It was kind of like, damn, like this is so important, because I wish I had a conversation that was like this, or like I was watching this, like I'm so happy to be on your guys' platform, because you guys remind me of my brothers, like as in, for someone who's Pacifica Rainbow and you see your siblings, right, and you love your siblings, and you're just like, oh damn, like I wanna know how they're thinking, because you know, like for my stuff, like I don't hear what my siblings are feeling. Like for me, it's so easy to talk about my feelings, but for some people, you know, that are like straight and Pacifica and males, right, they don't talk about these things, like, you know, these mental health things, or like maybe to certain people, but like not in a open way. And so for me, as a person, as a viewer, when I was watching these guys, I was like, sometimes I was curious about, okay, how are my siblings and people I know that, you know, categorize and like have the similar energy as you guys. I was like, oh, I wonder how they feel. And then clicking on your guys' podcast, I was like, as a viewer, I was like, holy shit, man, I never thought of it like that. Oh, I didn't know they were going through this, because they always have like a tough exterior. And like, yo, your guys' platform is amazing. Like, it's gonna help heaps of people, especially for those that you know, want to know more about Pacifica mental health, that are males and that are like, you know, heterosexual, and they're like, you know, straight, and they're just talking about it. Like, because I never heard people talk openly about their feelings and their Pacifica males. It was foreign to me, because I was like, wait, they just joke around. They don't talk about some true stuff, maybe just to certain people or their loved ones. And so when I would tune in into like your guys' show, I'll be like, shit. Oh yeah, nah, that's so true. That's how my sibling will probably think. Oh, okay. And it was such a great way, I think, for me as someone just coming in and listening in. Like, I just wanted to put that out there. Like, guys,
I mean, in saying that you noticed how we speak openly and we're cool like that, I just want to remind you as well that it's still not as easy as it looks. It's still a difficult thing. We're still masculine men who are prideful island boys who don't want to let that, you know, that vulnerability show, you know. So as easy as we make it look, it's still a tough thing for us to do.
So true.
But because we are as tight as we are, we've got this platform. We have to, you know, not we've have to. We've chosen to be this way, to be open, to be transparent, and that's probably what you know, what attracted you to the way we are. And yes, I do hope that your siblings think the way we think, which is open and chill, and like just we go with everything. We've always said that we don't have to agree on everything that we speak about, but we just have to respect what everybody says, and that's like
100%.
You're always gonna win if that's how it's gonna be. So thank you, Tua, for chat. There's so much more we can go on all night. I'm pretty sure we can.
We can.
100%. No, like on the, off the top of Mafia, it's that thing where the understanding, but without talking, is you just have to understand what people are going through. Your opinions may be different from mine. You have a different way of thinking. So, in saying that, we all need to, come together and just communicate and just have our ears open. And at the end of this, hopefully we've learned something. Hopefully we've taken away something, which means not coming in with a barrier already just to try and get your point across. So I think with that being said, we thank you for coming on, and I hope we see a lot more of you in your journey out there, so people can take on board how brave you are, because it is still, as we speak now, it's open, but you're still a lot of people out there that are in the shadows, or just trying to see where they are at with their lives. Just keep doing what you're doing. And from myself, I'm still kind of learning and trying to understand the LGBTQIA, and sorry, I can't remember the Polynesian way, but I guess this is probably going to be the first of many to come. We've got more rainbow family to come on board and share their experiences. But with your experience, bro, we usually end the show off with like a tip or some advice. But from me, I'll start. Something that I've taken away from you, because this is still new to me, is that your voice is so powerful for our people, not only young and old. You just keep being you and keep doing what you are doing at the moment, man, because it's really good to see and really good to hear. Although, it's I hope we do have more platforms out there that can, share your story as well. So, yeah, again, thank you for jumping on, Tua.
Bro, before we go further, I just want to drop. What do you guys think about this question? You think our parents really worried that their kid is rainbow, or worried about what people would think about their kid being rainbow?
Yeah, it's. Oh, sorry. Can I not jump the gun like this? So that's such a. No, that's so true. It's both. It's both. Like, I don't even know if I want to share my tea. Where I need to hold back. No, I think it's true. I know that my mum, I didn't know until people told me that. I think my mom was open with it, but I think she was scared of what people were thinking or what people were saying. And so maybe there was some stuff that was being said, even if it's in a joking manner, but as a parent, right? Like, let's say, as you guys being dads, right? You guys being dads, and let's say you have a son and he's a little, maybe he's a little feminine, and he just hangs out with, just the woman, the girls, and in a youth. And then you hear church moms, right? And you just hear stuff like, "Oh man, he's and let's say it's in a certain Pacific language, and they're just saying jokes to you as a parent, and they're like, "Oh look, oh look at your son, he should be going over there, stuff like that." And as a parent, I'm pretty sure you'll probably be you'll laugh it off, but then at the same time you're kind of fuck you, who the fuck did that's about my son? I can say shit about my son, it's my son. But you can't say shit like that. Don't try and be slick and think you can be funny. And I know my mom, she would used to laugh at certain things and kind of block. I never knew that people were kind of saying some sly stuff about who I was when I was little. And my mom kind of protected me from it. And I think she was scared of what people would think about, because of what they might, that impact on me. Once I found out, they'll probably be "Oh damn, no, I should have protected you," because as parents want to protect your child. And so I think it's both. They care about what people think, because you don't want them to say hurtful stuff to your kid. You know what I mean?
Of course, in that stature and like the church stature or the position and culture, you know, like.
And then and then remember, you can only protect your child so much, and then whatever happens on the outside happens. Hey, you just gotta accept. You know, people are gonna talk, people are gonna say shit, but you can only pull your kids so much, and then the rest is just the will takes over type of thing. But yeah, it's freaky. Like, could you imagine, Swanky, like being a parent with you know, it'll be so like, you know, your love for your kid is so much, but it can only go so far, and then everyone else just does what they want with your love type of thing, hey, you know? So it's freaky. Like, it would be freaky, definitely freaky. Yeah.
Or you already know that, you know, it's the I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, so I don't give a fuck.
I don't give a fuck what you think about my kid, bro.
Yeah. I love my kids more than I love anyone else. Like, you can't say, you know?
Another comment from Wills. It's so easy to give advice to someone else, strangers, but so hard to accept and give advice in their own family. It's good to see more things happening with the community where everyone is inclusive. More education creates more awareness. Sean Wills. Underlining issues. Sure.
And like we said before, and we'll just mention it again. I always say it's education. We've spoken about in the past other shows about our generation being the ones to teach our parents that, you know, move with the times. You know, we can't keep fussing our kids these days and shit like that. Now, what's the difference between you turning around and saying to your parents, you know, gay people are normal people, mom and dad. You know, don't treat them differently. You know, it's normal. Like, like we don't do that anymore. Like, you don't treat them differently. Yeah, you know, everyone is the same. Fahafinge, gay, whatever. I mean, it's still our job. I believe it's still our job because our generation owns those parents that are kind of like the last of that breed that had that thinking, where we are the ones that are there that can go, you know, knock, knock, knock. It's not like that anymore. And then from then onwards, it's open. You know, everyone's open to keeping that change up.
Us in the diaspora, or like how about the people in the islands still like they're still solid, bro? Like,
There's us.
It's a conversation. This is why I love these conversations.
It's all about the conversations, also educating everybody, and everybody learns something. Eh? Is it my turn, Terry?
Yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted the flow.
Yeah, sorry. So like everybody like leaves advice and stuff. My one would be like a challenge to anybody who's watching, anybody who's watching and is listening. If you're part of the people, I want to say, if you're part of the people who are standoffish around gay people or around the rainbow community, you know, tell yourself that, you know, I don't like them. I challenge you to go and strike up a conversation, say hello. You know, just you don't just shake their hand yet. Just say hello. Strike up an easy conversation. It might not go anywhere. It might, you know, you never know. You might have met your next best friend. But I challenge anybody like you who's listening right now to just step out of that comfort zone. You're probably just as confused as the things that you're telling yourself, you know. So just get out there, challenge you to say hello, shake a hand, make a new friend from the community. Remember, community. I got heaps. I got no problems with nobody. We're all the same. We all bleed the same. Right. We all come from the same families and everything. So it's easy for me to say that. It's easy for me to do that. But I'm not saying it's easy for the next person to do it. So that'll be a challenge that I'm leaving with the chat tonight. Once again, thanks to Tua for jumping on. If you didn't know, I was the first Fuff Swag DJ in New Zealand. First ever Fuff Swag ball. I was that guy who played the music.
Gonna say something,
you know. I'm part of the pioneering in there.
Have you got your trophy? Have you got your trophy for that?
Shout out to those and Tanu. You guys are goats. You know that.
That's so cool.
No, but you'd be surprised. I know some of the Moy and them.
which
Those are all
will jump
my
on
clique.
later.
They're all my mates. They're all my mates. So yeah, shout out to everybody in the Rainbow community who's tuned in tonight or listening to our podcast in the future. Yeah.
Hey, I'll go next and then Tua can end us off because he's got the gems. But I just want to say thank you again, Tua, for accepting the invite, coming on and educating us and sharing your truth, sharing your story. Like those who said earlier in the show, hopefully someone out there can relate, listen, and help them with their walk. But yeah, thank you, Tua, and congratulations with the next week. Is it next week? Yep.
Yeah, next week, Thursday. Sure. Oh, is it my turn now?
You can end us off and.
Hey, okay. Well, first and foremost, thank you so much for having me. Sorry, it really means a lot. Like I hope you guys know, I guess, the magnitude of what you are doing. Like, and I want to let you guys know and give you guys your flowers or your acknowledgement because your podcast is helping so many people, right? And there should be more stuff like this, and it's not out there. And so I want to let you guys know that you are doing a freaking amazing job. Like, especially me just watching it and being a part of it. Like, it's mean. Like, it's just so to be in the space, and you guys create such a safe space. You know what I mean? Like, it's rare for people to feel safe and just speak and just have a really honest Talanoa. And I really want to say you guys are gifted in that way in your podcast. Like, you are gifted in that way of making people feel safe and letting them talk and letting them laugh and letting truth bombs happen, So I want to say that. Also, I guess advice or whaukuanga in any sense, I think would be, I don't know, like I think it would be to, be courageous to stand in your truth and be courageous to stand in your truth. Be courageous and stand in your truth because it's not easy. It's not easy to, because we know how controversial the subject is. Like, it's really easy to talk about it like this. It's really easy flowing, and there's a lot of mutual respect. But unfortunately, like in the Pacific Islands, there's heaps of things same-sex marriage is not even a thing there. Like, you will get, some have the death penalty in certain countries for just being who you are. And I want to let people know how serious this is. In some Pacific countries, you can't, like, literally, you cannot just be who you are if you're, for example, gay. Like, homosexuality, that term or whatever that is like, you can't even do that. Like, you can't even just be who you are. And you're not even trying to be disrespectful. You're not trying to change someone's sexual orientation. You're not trying to, I need people to like start to debunk their thoughts. Like, if you're straight and you're going to see, a gay brother over there, like, they're in the community, like, immediately take that thing like, oh, frick, like, if I talk to them, I don't want them to think that I like them. Like, no, take that immediately out of your brain and humanize them. Like, oh no, he's just another brother. Like, he's just another human being. Like, humanize them. Like, don't do the whole like, oh, maybe they're in the community, or they're probably going through heaps of issues. I'm like, no, just talk to, like, how you'll see another brother or another sister on the street. Like, you just, acknowledge them as a human. You know what I mean? Like, acknowledge them as a human. That's all we want. That's all I think anyone wants. You know what I mean? Just to be acknowledged as just who they are, and not trying to have all these these heaps of labels. But let's take the labels out, LGBT out, and just think about it on a human sense. Like, they just, like brother Muffy said, he said it really amazing as well. Like, he said, we all bleed the same. You know what I mean? And it's like, just humanize people, just treat people the way you want to be treated. It's like certain things like that. Like, get rid of overthinking. Like, get rid of that. Get rid of the toxicness of like all that kind of BS that you, I don't know, maybe have picked up on, maybe like unlearn that, unlearn all of it. And yeah, thank you so much for allowing me in the space. I'm so grateful. Like, and you guys are amazing. It's rare because I wish there was more people like you. I've been in some interactions with people that are not as open, and so I just wanted to just say thank you so much for allowing me to just chill with these guys, to be one of the boys for tonight. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, really.
Oh, Terry.
No, I think he's legged out. Yeah, everybody's legged out.
Hey, well, that's the sign of the shows.
But that's not the last of this topic or this show.
No, it's not.
That was just a teaser, a taster. That was just an hour and 20. This topic is beyond an hour 20. So that was just us getting started. I want to say that. And I think
us just trying to learn. Trying to learn. But thank you to those viewing, chatting, coming through the chat. Tuning in. Yeah. He's Muffy. I'm Swanky.
That's Swanky.
For the boys.
Terry go. Tua go.
Peace.